Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to the life of a virtual airline pilot. Now, you may recall that I got the last two flights mixed up. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I released episode 13 and episode 12, I think it was 13 and 12. Episode 12 was just sitting in the folder waiting to be edited. Not really sure what happened with that, but there you have it. So, we are back in our PMDG 737 today, and we're going to be flying our next leg of our 737 USA tour for Mac Air from KBJI, which is where we ended episode 13 at, over to KCID. It's not a very long flight. Should be pretty quick today, which is probably good because I haven't been in the 737 in a little bit, and it's probably going to be a bit of a mess, but you guys know how it is. So with all of that in mind, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I mentioned it in my last video. I released a FedEx Cargo Ops video in the Rotate MD-11. I talked briefly about a couple of really cool things going on, but I didn't really tell you what they are. I do have some permission to talk a little bit more about one of those things today, and we're going to do that here momentarily. So what do you say we climb up into the office and get to work? Alrighty folks, as always we're going to take a quick look at our flight plan here using Sim Toolkit Pro and SimBrief with the latest and greatest graphic user interface that Navigraph has done with it, which is, as I mentioned in my last video, looking absolutely fantastic, and I'm super stoked about it. So you can see here's our basic flight plan right now. It's Mac Air Flight 126, departing KBJI, arriving KCID with KMCI as our alternate in our 737-700 from PMDG. Let's see here. The airframe, so on SimBrief, when I chose the aircraft type, there were a few 737s in there, and I picked one of them just to try and be more accurate. Somebody gets credited there on SimBrief for having put in that profile, so I don't recall the name, but I appreciate it very much. So airtime is 1 hour and 15 minutes, so not too far, 37,000 feet. I don't know if we're going to make it. Cost index 47, I just didn't change it. 420 nautical miles. You know what? I didn't notice. 420 miles, yeah, we'll make 37,000 feet, no problem. But we won't be up there very long. So there's your average wind components, all that good stuff is in there. AirX cycle is all good to go. And then you've got our block fuel, 14,700 or 917 pounds, sorry. Cargo of 7920, payload 35,280 pounds, and that puts our estimated zero fuel weight at 120,155 pounds. Route's pretty straightforward. We're going to take a look at this as we put it into the FMC because I did not save this flight plan. Just putting it in manually because it's really short. That's really the gist of it. Not a lot going on. We can take a look at our weather. So if we look here at KBJI, there we go. And so you can see the wind here, 050 to 18, gusting to 22. We're going to take runway 7 for our departure. You'll see that here momentarily. And then our arrival airport, which for whatever reason I just completely lost it in my brain housing group here, KCID. I was going to say KDIC. KCID. So if we go back in here, and the weather is pretty crazy there. KCID, it is marginal VFR weather. I love that that's in orange like that. It just jumps out at you. So that was the first thing I saw when I looked at this a few minutes ago. So that's fantastic. So marginal VFR, you can see the wind is 170 at 15, gusting to 24. What's interesting about this, because it's marginal VFR and there's potential for it to get below VFR, we're going to have to fly the ILS to runway 9, which means we're going to have a pretty strong crosswind on that one. But it is within the capabilities of 737, so it should make for an interesting arrival. So with all of that said, that's our flight plan for the day. Let's get back over to the flight deck, get things cleaned up and ready to go. Alright, so here's what I want to do, folks, is I'm going to go ahead and plug in the flight plan here really quick. We've got power on the aircraft, clearly. Most of the overhead setup is done. There's obviously a little bit of work left to do with the MCP and all of that stuff. But what I want to do is I'm going to go over putting in the flight plan really quick, just because we haven't done it in a long time. It's a short flight plan. It should be super easy. And then I want to talk about something that I think you guys are going to find really exciting. I know I'm super stoked about it. So let's take care of that first. And we'll just jump down here to this guy. And let me make sure I got my flight plan ready over here. View flight plan. There we go. All right, so I've already put in the first waypoint, which is however you NIWRA. We're going to go with that. Then it's GEP from there, so GEP. And these are all direct. So now it's given us two different GEPs, but you can see, so northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. It's not going to be this one, I can promise you that. So we're going to take this one right here. And then MCW, same thing, it's just direct. We're not doing any airways or anything like that. And then it's SORPE, S-O-R-P-E, S-O-R-P-N-E. Put that one in there. And then from there, it's direct to KCID. So we're going to go ahead and activate that, execute that, and go to our performance initialization page. We can just click on the zero fuel weight. There it is, 120.2, which is what I put in there. Bam, just like that. Reserves are going to be 2,000 pounds, should be plenty. And what did we say the cost index was? 47. It's going to be a little bit slower than we normally fly, but it is what it is. We're going to go 370 on the altitude. Execute that. Takes us to our N1 limit page. We've got a short runway for takeoff, so we're taking off on, I don't know why that shrunk down, we're taking off on runway 7. We got 5,700 feet of runway. We're not super heavy, so we won't have a problem getting off the ground, but we're going to leave it at a full takeoff because that's the way I think it should be. But it is going to be a flaps 20 for takeoff. That's going to help us out a little bit. Invalid entry. It doesn't do flaps 20? 25. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess it's going to be flaps 15 is as high as being. Why did I think flaps 20? I must be thinking of 747. Flaps 15 for takeoff. Grab our center of gravity here. It's going to be 18, so we'll put that in there. And then our departure, no SIDS. It's going to be runway 7. Execute that. Check our legs really quick. Direct to Nura, however you say that, GEP, MCW, SORPE. There's no star for the arrival either, so we'll be setting up, you can see we got a little bit of distance to work with, so we'll set up our approach once we get going. So I'm going to continue going through things here, and while I'm going through them, I want to talk to you about something really cool that's going on in the background right now. You're just not aware of it. So I mentioned to you guys that there's some really cool stuff coming out from TFDI. Of course, we've talked a lot. Everybody's really highly anticipating the MD-11 that's going to come out later this year. And that thing's going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait until that MD-11 shows up. But what a lot of you may not be aware of is something else that TFDI has been working on for a while, and it's coming out pretty soon. In fact, it's in alpha testing right now, and I know this because I'm involved in the alpha testing, and I'm grateful to be involved in that. I've never had such an opportunity before. So first, I just want to say thank you to TFDI for allowing me to be a part of this. And what it is it's Smart Cars 3. So some of you may wonder what the heck is that. Most of you, though, especially if you fly with a virtual airline, you're familiar with ACARS, right, which is our flight tracking system, or the flight tracking program that connects with the virtual airline's website and your flight simulator. The two talk to each other, and it gives you credit for your flights, and it tracks all your information. Well, the most popular one out there right now is Smart Cars 2, which was made by TFDI. It's a very simple program to use, and you know, it does exactly what you need. It tracks your flight parameters, it feeds the information back to the virtual airline, and then you get credit for the flight. Well, Smart Cars 3 is going to be the next evolution in that. And when I first talked with TFDI about it, I was talking with their CEO, who is a friend of mine. I was absolutely blown away by what he was telling me. I was like, you're kidding me. Are you really going to be able to do that? Well, let me tell you, they really are doing what he was talking about. So let me just give you a couple of little tidbits here of what's going on. So right now we're in the alpha testing for Smart Cars 3. And even in alpha testing, this thing's working like a champ, and they're adding updates every few days, fixing the little errors that do pop up, the kind of things that happen when you do alpha testing. And it's going to be in beta testing here pretty soon, which means more of you are going to get an opportunity to see it. And I'd show it to you right now, but because it's still in alpha testing, we can't actually show it. So it is running off to the side, tracking my flight right now. So instead of running Smart Cars 2 like I normally would, I'm actually going to track this flight from Mac Air through Smart Cars 3. Now, probably one of the coolest features that Smart Cars 3 has is the ability to create and add and input plugins into Smart Cars to customize it however you want. So for example, Mac Air, we have several different divisions that we fly, right? So you guys are familiar. We've got the historical division, the cargo division, the open division, the pro division, and so on. And we can create plugins that help us to access those divisions through smart cars rather than having to go to the website. So you're not just bidding for a flight, you're able to access your division. That's just one real simple example. There's an update that should be coming out here today or tomorrow, maybe the next couple days, for the alpha testing. That's going to be a plugin that syncs up SimBrief with smart cars. So for example, you guys have all seen me use SimBrief linked up with SimToolKit Pro, right? Which is fantastic. It works like a champ. Well, you're going to be able to do that in your A cars now. So instead of having to have another program open and running, which, don't get me wrong, I like SimToolKit Pro, but think about it for a minute. If I can just go onto my A cars, which has got to be running anyway to track the flight, I can pull up my SimToolKit Pro on there. We can create a plugin to put Navigraph charts on there. I'm assuming, now I'm no expert on plugins, but you can pretty much create a plugin for just about anything. And just think about that for a minute. Talk about customizing your A cars, right? So instead of, Mac Air had a custom made A cars, several years ago, and it was great, but I mean, that was what you got. And if you wanted to change it, you had to go to the guy who made it for us to get changes made. And then eventually we moved over to smart cars. And while you can't customize smart cars 2 very much, it's very, very limited. It's a great program that runs really well, and it makes the whole process simple. Smart Cars 3 is going to take all of the best features of Smart Cars 2, making it super easy to use. It's going to run smoothly, connect easily, all of the things that are great about Smart Cars 2, and it's going to throw all the best things you could possibly imagine from a customized A-Cars program for your virtual airline. So for those of you who maybe watch my videos that are on the staff, or maybe even the CEOs or chief operations officers for some of the other virtual airlines out there, let me tell you guys, this Smart Cars 3, this is going to be a game changer for virtual airlines, because now you can get a well-made, easy to use A-Cars program, and then you can go in there and you can say, okay, we want to create a plugin to do this or that, whatever it happens to be, right? And you create the plugin, and it's going to be a drag and drop. So you'll go to the website, create the plugin, and then you can drag and drop it right to from the website right to your A-Cars, right? And then so on that website, you would go in there and you say, yeah, I want this plugin, this plugin, and this plugin, and you activate them, and they just, bam, they're automatically activated to your Smart Cars 3. With that also, people can create plugins in the community that they'll share with other virtual airlines, right? So let's say Mac Air has a plugin that you think would be really awesome and would work really well for your virtual airline. We put it up on the public side of the website there, and all you do is click a button. Yep, this is the one I want. Bam, I've got my plugin, and it works seamlessly with your smart cars. How stinking awesome is that? You can set up your own colors. You can set it to have your airline's colors. You can put your airline's logo on there. All of the things that you want to do to customize your A-Cars program, you can do with Smart Cars 3 without having to go out and have somebody custom build an A-Cars program for you. And that, to me, is super exciting. To see what TFDI is doing with this Smart Cars 3 program is absolutely amazing. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes here and just share that with you guys, because I'm really excited about what's going on. It's going to hit beta testing soon, and when it does, you should start seeing some videos on it and start seeing some of those plugins that people are making and putting in there. Right now, there's just a few plugins in there to track flights and bid on flights and stuff like that. But think about it for a minute. Now, this is a program in alpha testing that works well enough that it's already connected to Mac Air, so that I can go in there, grab this flight that we're flying right now, and run it on this A-Cars program. It's going to track the flight for me. That's absolutely fantastic. So that's just one of the things coming down the pipe. It's going to be out pretty soon. You guys, if you're with a virtual airline, if you're not on the staff or something like that, and you're looking for an A-Cars program that gives you more, and talk to your staff, because this is going to be something that's going to be fantastic. And that's just the first thing they're doing this year. That's the first thing coming out this year. They've got the MD11 coming later this year, and I know there's some folks out there who think, oh, it's just hype, whatever. I've seen what they're doing with that thing, And let me tell you, it's going to rival anything you've seen out there right now. I love to fly that Rotate MD-11. PMDG did a fantastic one years ago, but they don't do it anymore, right? You can't use it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You had to tweak something to get it to work in P3D, and most people couldn't even get it to work in there. So the closest thing we've seen to a decent MD-11 in years is that Rotate MD-11, and it's pretty good. I honestly believe that TFDI's MD-11 is going to far surpass what Rotate has done with theirs. And that's not a dig against Rotate. I'm just saying, I've seen what they're doing with that thing. They are simulating the systems extremely in depth. So if you're a MD-11 fan or a fan of flying heavy aircraft like I am, I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to be super stoked when that MD-11 comes out from TFDI. So there you have it, just a couple announcements, things coming down the pipe from TFDI. I have the very honored pleasure to be working with them on some of this stuff in the background, and I spoke with them yesterday to find out what can I share, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that's not able to be shared yet because there's still so much going on in development. So I just got some feedback on what I could share, because I was really excited to share some of that information with you guys, and I hope that you guys get as excited about it as I do. I know there's nothing to see right now, but I promise you there's going to be something to see really soon. And I think you're going to be super, super excited about it. So look forward to that coming down the pipe shortly. With all of that said, and that great build up right there, A-Cars is running in the background on Smart Cars 3. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to push and start this aircraft so we can get this flight done. Alrighty folks, we got pretty much everything ready to go. We're getting ready to push back here. Passenger boarding is complete. Doors are closed and locked. We have clearance for push. Throttles are idle. Start levers are off. Packs need to go off. Almost always forget the packs too. Back to the off position. There we go. Fantastic. APU is running. Bleed air pressure is good. Fuel pumps are on. Anti-collision light is on. Parking brake can be released once they tell us to. Let's go ahead and pull up the pushback and request. Alright, so clearly the pushback is not going to work properly. And so we're going to do it this way. FS actions, pushback. Sure. Let's just go with straight out. Shocks are removed. Okay, so that was absolutely more hassle than it needed to be, but yeah, so we're going to get the pushback going here. Let me just turn off a couple of things I got going over here that don't need to be going. Okay, I don't think I've ever had that much trouble getting a pushback going. Let's go ahead, fuel pumps are on, anti-collision lights on, parking brake is released, we're being pushed back, so let's go ahead and get engine number 2 started. Come up here, roll this bad boy over to ground, and on this checklist it says 20% into. I keep getting told 15, 20, 25. We're going to go with 20 because that's what it says on my checklist. So once we hit 20% N2 on here, we'll go ahead and introduce the fuel. Absolutely insane how long it took me to get that pushback going. There's 20, by the way. Alright, so 20% on the N2, introduce the fuel. Fuel's coming in. Everything's looking good. This whole little, like, I cut it out. You guys didn't see it, but literally that was like almost 10 minutes of trying to get the pushback squared away. Maybe it wasn't quite that long, but it felt like 10 minutes, let me tell you. It was, I couldn't get it to work with the pushback tool thing I have, then I couldn't get it to work right with the PMDG pushback, and it's just absolute, utter madness. But that's okay, because we're pushing back now, so we can put this on back on the FMC page. There we go, fantastic. And engine number 2 is started. How far back are we going to go? I probably went too far. Yeah, I went too far. It like went across the grass there. Okay, let's, can I stop it? FS actions, pushback, and stop.
Pushback, roger that. Ready for push. Straight back. Brakes off.
Okay. Stop. I must have hit stop right as it was starting. Oh my goodness. What a hassle that was, huh? Okay, that's fine, no big deal. So yeah, we pushed across the grass there, but we ended up on the taxiway, and we're going that way anyway, so it should work out just fine. Let's go ahead and get engine number 1 started, flip it over to ground, and we'll wait for 20% N2. Goodness gracious. I did learn something the hard way. If you turn your track IR on and then you you turn it back off, but it's not in its like close to its original position, all your views are off. all your views will be out of whack. So just something to keep in mind there. Okay, let this engine finish starting up here. Let's go ahead and start looking at some more lights. We're going to need our taxi lights here pretty soon. Not too big a deal. We'll get the logo light on just because. Wing lights can be on now as well. Wheel well lights can go on. Wait for that engine to finish starting, and we will take care of our after start procedures, which should be just momentarily here. Last time I tried to fly this thing, I forgot to turn the engine generators on before shutting off the APU. Let me tell you, that can create a few problems. It creates a few problems. So make sure you turn on the engine generators before you shut the APU off, which is what we're going to do right now. So let's get the engine generators on. So on, and then that's, I call it sending it back to the APU. But now we can turn the APU off. There we go. We can turn the packs back on. This guy can go to auto. APU bleed can go off. Probe heat can go on. I just prefer to turn it on. I don't really care for the auto feature too much, to be honest with you. Okay, looking at the checklist really quick. Engine generators are on. Probe heat is on. Anti-ice is currently off, although there is every likelihood that we're going to need it. It's plus 3 degrees Celsius. So technically, I mean, it's below 10. We should have the anti-ice on, right? We're going to put that back to both. And let's go ahead and let's just put the anti-ice on. It is snowy outside. Even though it's springtime, it's snowy outside. So packs are on at this point. Isolation valve is set to auto. APU bleed is off. APU switch is off. External lights are set as required. Master caution light should be off. And it is. Check the recall. It is good to go. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a turkey's leg, and we will taxi out and get going. Alrighty then, before taxi items, first things first, let's get the flaps in. That's flaps 1. Maybe? Is it moving? I don't hear it moving. Oh yeah, it's moving. So that's 2, 5, 10, and then 15 because we were using a short field here. Master caution light is off. Recall has already been checked. Trim is set. Flaps are coming in right now. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing. I don't think we did a takeoff briefing. There is no departure. So just take a quick look here. So we're going to be taking runway 7 here, and basically it's just on course from there. So what we'll do is we'll fly straight out at first, and then we'll turn to get on course, and we should be pretty much good to go. I think that makes sense. Oh, I do that stupid highlight thing. You see how that should have been the click spot the first time, right? I don't know why I have such a hard time with that. But anyway, okay, so we got that good to go. Let's get to the proper view here. That view seems wrong though, doesn't it? Like it seems zoomed way in. Like it feels like I should be like right about there. That feels a little better. Alright, track hour coming on, a little jump here. There it is. Yeah, see, like we're zoomed in. Let me recenter. And that's a wee bit better there. Alright, hopefully that works for you guys. Let's go ahead and get those brakes off. There we go. And bring in a little bit of thrust here. Come on, baby. She doesn't want to move. I don't have chocks on, right? Ugh. That'd be just my luck. The chocks would be back on or something. FS actions. Just go here to the pushback section. Return. Yep. Nope, they're removed. So why aren't we moving? I mean, it should be moving. I shouldn't need that much thrust to get going. We are not that heavy. Seriously, we are not that heavy. There's a tug hooked up to it. I knew it. Look, it's got us in the grass too. Way to go, guys. I'm telling you guys, I've had more issues. So watch this. If you do this, and then now track IR is frozen. Now if I go down here, see, it throws the views off. It's really weird. Okay, set the chocks. Go back here to pushback and get rid of the tug. None. Okay. Now let's make sure he's gone. Oh my goodness. All I want to do is get a little flight in for you guys. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to let you go anywhere when you have the tug attached to it, right? But that definitely makes more sense now. Okay, so let's go back to this view, and then watch track IR coming on, and it jumps right over here, and it's like zoomed way in again, which I guess is probably a little closer to a realistic view, right? But like, Oh, that's going to be a pain. I hate the cameras in this flight sim. I'm telling you, I absolutely hate them. And in addition to that issue, which is going on right now, for whatever reason, somehow I slid my chair in way further than I normally do. And so I'm like right up on top of my yoke and my throttles, which is making the whole thing a little more difficult. Good times. Alrighty. Let's see if we can get this thing headed down the taxiway here. I'm surprised to see all this snow, but I suppose that makes sense. Alright, so let's get going down. Come on, keep moving, keep moving. There we go. Okay, I gotta scoot back a little bit, but to do that I gotta bring my rudder pedals with me. So let me just get this going straight down here so we can run over all these lights really fast. There we go. Okay, lots of movement here, lots of movement. I don't know why I'm right up on top of the thing. Oh, sorry for... Listen, this is life, right, guys? This is how it is. See, now look where we're at. That's fantastic. Okay, zoom that out just a little bit. Okay, that's so much better for my throttles. My like I was like almost reaching back to get to my throttles. It was absolute insanity. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and finish taxiing out here after all of the fiascos of just getting pushed back. I am ready to get this airplane in the air. So I'll see you guys back here when we're holding short of the runway in just a minute. Alrighty, folks, it's been an adventure, but here we are holding short of the runway. Let's get that auto throttle armed there. And let's take a look here. So recall, checked and clear, taxi's good. Oh, wrong spot. Flaps are set. Hold on. Coughing in your face there. Trim is checked and set. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing is complete. We have takeoff clearance. Strobe lights need to go on. Let's get the track IR back on. A little jump here. I also figured out why I was zoomed way in like that. It had to do with... hold on, I gotta do this again. Watch this. So I center it up. See how it's back here now? So for some reason, even though I'm in windowed mode and it was on... what do you call it? It wasn't on maximized window, which is really strange. So let's get the strobes up here to strobe and steady. There we go. Left and right runway turn off lights can come on. Taxi light can go off. Landing lights can go on. That takes care of all the lights. Runway start or runway, yeah. Engine start switches. One over to continuous, not flight. Continuous. One over to continuous. There we go. That's what I want. Auto throttle is armed. Transponder is on TARA. The approach looks clear. Parking brake is off. Let's get out on this runway and get this thing going, because this has been one of those, right? It hasn't been bad. I mean, I'm not really complaining, but like just the little things that come up, and it's like, why am I having such a hassle with this? Now here's one of the things I just don't get, like with the textures and stuff like that. There's clearly snow on the ground. Okay, great. I love that we get snow on the ground now. Why is there no snow on the taxiways, but the runways are bleach white with snow? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Like, now I know this is just like a random little airport out in the middle of kind of nowhereville. Well, unless you live there, it probably doesn't feel that way. But, you know, you get what I'm saying. It's not like one of the major airports. I get that, right? So I'm sure that has a part to play in it. Man, I way overshot that, too. Look at that. I missed the center of the runway by a good country mile. That's all right. We don't have runway to work with here. So we're going to stop right here. Okay, here we go, folks. Let's see if we can get this to work. Brakes are held. Let's get her to about 60% and stabilized. My goodness. I'm going to go ahead and crank this out just one so I can see a little bit better. And release the brakes. And toga. And we'll just work our way back to the center of the runway where we belong here. Yes, okay, so it looks like icy. It doesn't look bad. It's just weird that the runway is just absolutely covered in a sheet of ice while the taxiways are completely clear. Okay, we got off the ground nice and quick, didn't we? Come on, baby. Up, up, and away.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear coming up. And we can go up one on the flaps. Boy, we did not need to do those flap settings like that, did we? That's okay though. Come up one more on the flaps. And let's go ahead and start making our turn here. Just a gentle turn at the moment. I don't know if it's actually going to put us on that course or not. It should, right? Like, that's the course. Let's see if it'll let me arm the LNAV yet. Oh yeah, well now. Fantastic. There we go. Yeah, now it wants us to turn. Good. Coming up another setting on the flaps. Looking pretty good. Nice view. I love the snow. I really do. I love the snow out there. I think that's fantastic. That's something we've needed for a long time. Go to flaps 2 here. Start bringing that nose up so that we don't overspeed. Flaps can come all the way up now. There we go. I know it wants me to keep the nose down a little, but we're going to overspeed if we do. So coming around here, we'll start getting on an intercept course here. That's looking good. We can bring the nose back down just a little bit. Alright, that looks good. I like that. Let's go ahead and hit the autopilot here. There we go. Autopilot's taking over. It's on VNAV speed right now. LNAV is going good. Everything's looking good. Let's turn track IR off. Make sure you get it to the right view before you do it. Alright, and let's take a look at our after takeoff procedures and checklist. Will it let me lock the gear now? It doesn't, which is really weird. I think you used to be able to lock it, now it's not letting you lock it, so that's weird. Let's just taking a look over here at Smart Cars 3. It is running beautifully as expected, no issues whatsoever. It's fantastic, and think about it for a minute. It's in alpha right now, and it's running just absolutely splendidly. It's awesome. It really is. These guys are amazing. Okay, after takeoff, gear is up, roll mode is selected. Yep. So we're on LNAV, VNAV. Flaps are up all the way now, which is good. And then auto brakes are off, engine starters are off. That takes care of our after takeoff checklist, and that means, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alright folks, we're just a little over 100 nautical miles from top of descent. I'm coming on a little early to prep for the descent and the arrival and all that. That's just so that we can go over the approach brief and everything, because we had to make a change along the way here. So let's start with that. Let's just bring this guy over here. You can see we're just about at GEP, and the plan was originally to fly down here to MCW, which we're still doing, and then to Sorpe. Right, and then you can see, and I didn't know this about this new Navigraph charts desktop, but you can actually add the runway in there, right? So I added ILS runway 9 in there. You can see it's right here as well, right? And so I've got it set to transition at final. The problem is this is runway 9 here, right? And here's Sorpe here. So we would have to fly here, make a really hard turn, and then make a really hard turn, and that doesn't make any sense. So I've removed Sorpe from the FMC, so it'll be direct to CF09 here. Now I'm not entirely sure about the wind here, so I don't know if this is pulling wind from the sim or what, and I'm not entirely sure which way it's trying to say it's going. Like, does this mean it's a headwind or a tailwind? You get what I'm saying? So if anybody from Navigraph just happens to see this, I think it would be super helpful if we knew, like, this is clearly a crosswind, and I would assume coming from the left. So if we move, you know, here in the US and most places in the world, you read from left to right. Well, it depends on where. Actually, there's a lot of places you read right to left. That's not the point. But I'm just assuming moving from left to right, that would make this a headwind, and then this a crosswind from the left, which makes sense. The weather that we have from SimBrief is telling us the wind is 160 at 15, gusting to 22. So this still makes runway get function brain. That's still, you could use runway 13. But again, we're marginal VFR, right? That's the problem. It's marginal VFR. And so, I mean, that would make runway 13 the ideal runway. And that makes more sense for, because you see, so runway 13, you get where I'm coming from. Okay, I'm babbling on about it. I apologize. My point is I'm not really sure, is that supposed to be a headwind or tailwind? If we go with the wind from SimBrief, then we should have a crosswind from right around in here that should be pretty strong. That's assuming SimBrief's wind is correct according to the sim, but the sim may have different weather. Hopefully that all makes sense. So we're going to be flying the ILS runway 9 though, because according to the weather brief from SimBrief, which is what we're using, it's marginal VFR, which means it could go IFR at any time, and we could be required to fly an ILS. And if you jump over here and you go to your charts for KCID and your approach charts, you see there's an ILS for 9 and an ILS for 27. There is not for 13. Now an RNAV GPS can be flown close to the same minimums as an ILS, but it's been a minute since I've flown this thing, and so I'm not going to give that a go right now. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody now that I've blathered on for a few minutes. So let's take a look at what our approach is going to be, the ILS or localizer to runway 9 approach. ATIS is on 2415. Approach on 19.7. Chicago Center, when approach is inoperable, is 32.8. Eastern Iowa, that's Cedar Rapids, Iowa is the airport. So the Eastern Iowa Tower is 118.7, or it's CTAF 118.7. Ground on 21.6. Okay. Localizer is 109.3 with a final approach course of 89 degrees. Glide slope intercept at Fauner, it's 2,500 feet. ILS decision altitude conditional, that means dependent on all of this stuff down here, right? Is 200 feet AGL. Airport elevation 869 feet. Touchdown zone elevation 857 feet, which means the runway sloping up for us, which is good. It helps us to stop. Minimum safe altitude, we're coming in from over here at 090, so 4,000 feet on this side, 3,300 feet on this side of the runway. Missed approach, climbed to 1,400 feet, then climbed to 2,700 feet outbound via the CID VOR 082 degree radial, so it'd be a slight right turn. That's kind of weird, the 082 degree radial. Anyway. And then out to Lisboa, which is 19.1 miles from CID, and then hold. So you can see what that looks like here, out to Lisboa and hold. We are not going to do the procedure turn on this. We're going to come directly in to CF, I think it's listed as CF09, something like that, and then to Fauner, and then in from there. So 2,500 there, 2,500 at Fauner, and then on down from there. Should be hopefully pretty straightforward. Happy lights should be on the right hand side. There's your missed approach procedures again. Now here's all of our minimum stuff. So we're going to go with 200 feet because that's the easy way to do it. Alright, fantastic. Let's throw this over here, take a look in here, and all that talking brought us down to 72 nautical miles from top of descent. Good stuff. Take a look at our initial reference for landing performance. So our runway length on this is 8,600 feet. That's plenty of runway. We're going to go flaps 30, 134 knots. Put that right in here. And then there's the ILS already tuned in there, 109.30089 degrees. And in case you're wondering, you tune that in right back here. Just type it in. It'll put it in the bottom, excuse me, which is the scratch pad here, and then just click this guy to flip between the standby and the active. Put that on both sides so that you can use the auto land if necessary. We're not going to be doing that, of course. There's our top descent right there, which means we need to go ahead and get this bad boy ready to descend. So we need 2,500 feet. We don't have any, if I can get my brain to function, we don't have any altitude restrictions. However, I'm just looking at my Navigraph charts over here, and what I'm looking for is to change the chart type. So I want a VFR chart temporarily. And I just want to see, this is all flat space out here. I was just looking to see, were there any high mountains in the area? There really are not. It's a very, very flat area, which is a good thing for us because that means we don't have to worry so much about our descent, right? So Let's go ahead and get this guy set up. We're going to tune this down here. In case you're wondering how I'm able to do that without using the mouse, I've got the Bravo throttle quadrant, and it just maps right to it, and you set one of the knobs to altitude. You can also change the vertical speed, the heading, the course, and the indicated airspeed. So you just put it on altitude, and then you spin the other knob, and it takes it right to where you want to. So of course the proper way to do this would be ATC tells you what your next altitude is. You descend to that, and so on. You guys know the drill, but 2500 is what we're going to be looking for there. Just double checking that on my chart. Yes, it is. We're going to leave that at 2500. The descent will start automatically here shortly, and when we get closer to the approach, I'll come back on and you guys can fly it with me. Alrighty folks, we're just about onto the approach here. As you can see, it came on just a little bit later than I normally do, just because there's not a whole lot to do. But let's take a real quick look at our approach checklist. The approach is selected and briefed. The nav radios are set for the approach. The approach intercept, we're coming down on our speed right now. We should be good. Landing lights are on. Flaps are currently at 1. We're going to go to flaps 2 right now. And auto brake, we're going to need auto brake for sure. Get my brain to function here. Let's use auto brake 2, and let's see if I can arm the spoilers. Oh, what's the trick to these? I think it's this way. Yeah, there we go. Spoilers or speed brakes are armed. Engine start switches need to go to continuous as we're turning on here, and you see that my view is off a little now because I stopped the track IR at the wrong spot. So there we are, turning on the final. Let's go ahead and hit VOR LOC. It grabbed it immediately, so we can click the approach switch next, and you can see glide slope is in white right there. And just take another look here real quick. So yeah, we don't need drag, we're fine right now. We're doing flaps 30, 134. Weather hasn't changed a whole lot, so we're good on that. Single channel, grab the glide slope. Let's go ahead and get that gear down. It's going to happen fast now, isn't it? Let me get to a proper view here. Track IR coming on, a little jump, and there we go. I changed the view ever so slightly. You can see the speed got a little low too. So, but yeah, so we're going to be flaps 30, 134. And we're looking good. This is probably zoomed in a little further than it needs to be, but we're on the glide slope. Everything's looking good as it should be. See, that view is just, oh my goodness. Let's see if I can. Oh, that's not any better, is it? Like, that's where my head's resting right there. Okay, that's not too bad. So you see, you can see the clouds are just settling in right here. There's a little rainstorm going on right there. I don't know if the weather even works on this thing right now. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's working. Otherwise, we should be able to see that rain. But like, we're gonna fly right into it there. So, oh well. Okay, so the speed set itself. So just one more time, it's 134 is what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and bring this down to 150. Just let her slow down here, and we can we're at flaps 5 right now, so we're fine for that. We can go ahead and go to flaps 10. Can't even see the runway. Watch, it's going to be one of those where there's no runway present. We do have a strong crosswind, a little off the tail, so it looks like the wind was different in the sim compared to what it is on SimBrief. So it is what it is, but there's the runway right there, so you can see it's going to be all kinds of fun, isn't it? Alright, let's go ahead and let's go get flaps 15 there. Bring the speed down a little bit more. I have to keep looking at it for whatever reason. I can't keep it in my head. 134, flaps 30 and 134. So right now we are at flaps 15. We got 2 to go on our flap setting. So there's flaps 25 coming in. 134 plus 5 is 139. So we'll set that right there. And go ahead and set her to flaps 30. And just let her stabilize for a moment. Just for a minute here. I want that, whew, that is a crosswind landing if you ever saw one, isn't it? Look at that. Nice. It should be a little more across. Like you can see, it is, the wind is shifting as we get in closer. You see that? 180, 179, 180. So it's relatively close to what we were seeing. So Not horrible. I mean, it's a strong crosswind. It's 20 knots right now, so that's no fun. But it is what it is. Let's get the autopilot off my aircraft. Oh, it always likes to climb on me as soon as I turn the autopilot off. I'm not sure why that is.
400.
Come on, get that nose coming back down just a little. Still got the auto throttles on.
300.
Come on, baby. Alright, we're looking good. We're looking good. Auto throttles off.
100.
Woo!
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, woo! Come on. There we go. That was a decent landing considering I'm feeling good about it. So hopefully you guys are too. I mean, that wasn't too shabby. So yeah, Sim Toolkit Pro registered that at minus 227 feet per minute, which is a pretty smooth landing actually. Landed a little further down the runway. She floated a little right at the end there. That's on me, of course. That's, you know, that wasn't the airplane. That wasn't really the weather. I just had a little too much thrust in there. So I cut thrust at 20 feet actually and just kind of floated her on down and in. So not too bad. I'm pretty pleased with that one. Let's go ahead and taxi it in right here. We'll just follow this taxi line all the way up and around and park this thing. We'll get her shut down and call this one done and dusted. Alright, let's go ahead and set that parking brake real quick. There it is. Get the track IR to come off here. Hopefully my view won't be too messed up. APU should be up and running by now, so we can just hop right up top and you can see, yep, I messed up the view a little bit, but it is what it is. Interesting. So APU, oh, I'm a dummy. I went to click the taxi light off and I clicked the APU off. Alrighty then. Well, we can get window heat off for now. Probe heat is off. We'll get that thing spinning up there, and then I'll be back momentarily. Alright, APU is up and running again. So let's get this back down here and go ahead and grab the juice from the APU. That means we can shut down the engines now. We'll hop down. I gotta remember which view it is. I think it's, nope, it's this one. Go down here, shut down 1, shut down 2. Engines are off. Now, I'm curious as to whether or not we will be able to connect Jetway. Let's find out. So FS actions, ground services. No dice. I'm not getting a Jetway no matter what I want. What I do, right? Okay, it is what it is. You know what? They can jump out. That's how I'm viewing it right now. So we're gonna open the door. Best of luck to all of you. Here we go. That takes care of that. What else we got here? Let's see. We're not going to go to ground power. We're just going to leave it on the APU for now. Window heat is off, probe heat is off, electric hydraulics need to go off. That's these guys right here in the middle. Bam and bam. All bleeds closed, so we can turn APU bleed on. We can turn the engine bleeds off. Recirc fan is still on auto, so we're good there. No, it's on auto. Emergency exit lights, we'll leave those on for now. So everything looks good as far as I'm concerned. We're in basically a turnaround state at this point. A couple other things we could do, but I'm not too worried about it. And that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why the jetways won't connect. I've gotten them to connect before, but they won't right now. So they're just not going to do it for me for some reason. So it is what it is. Oh, there's that. Okay. So, yeah, whatever. You know, it is what it is. What was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say. Okay. Either way, it was a good flight. It was a good little flight. I did enjoy it. Wasn't super long. A lot of cool weather out there. I like when the weather's a little crazy sometimes because I do so many flights where the weather is just really, really clear all the time. So it's nice to have some clouds and some changing weather conditions. It was a heck of a landing. I really enjoyed that. So I hope that you guys did too, and I hope you enjoyed the entire flight. If you haven't done so already, please do take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. I really appreciate all of you guys. I've said it before. I'll say it many, many, many times more. I am just very, very grateful for all of you. My subscribers are awesome, and I love you guys. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. The more thumbs up I get, the more I'm going to do this particular content, right? So thumbs up, let me know that you're enjoying these particular videos, and no thumbs up, say to me, well, maybe they didn't like it that much. I don't know. So give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and that's it. That's all. No more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. May God bless and keep every one of you, and have an absolutely fantastic day.